Hi everyone, and welcome to our Facebook Live for this evening. I'm going to give it a couple minutes for those of you to find me live before we get started. And then I'll explain to you why you aren't seeing me, why you're only seeing me already face down in just a couple of minutes. So anyway, I hope some of you were able to join me live. I'm going to kind of hide my sneak peeks for a couple minutes. And I'm going to wait for some of you to pop on here again before I explain to you why you're not seeing me. I had a little bit of issues tonight with my stand, so I'm improvising here. So hi to Philomena. Again, as you're coming in, say hello, and I will fill you all in on why you're seeing me already with my camera positioned down. But I couldn't cancel on you guys. I don't like to do that. So anyway, I'm going to explain to you guys in just a couple of minutes why your the Facebook Live looks a little bit different tonight. I do want to straighten my camera out, though. I don't like it crooked. So anyway, I will explain to you guys what's going on, why you're not seeing me, why you're just seeing this in a couple minutes. But hi to Shireen and Patty and Susie and Carol. Welcome as you guys are popping on. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. It is 7:01 and explain to you guys why you're not seeing my face tonight. So as I was getting ready to go live a little while ago, my stand that I use that holds my my camera for doing my Facebook Live decided to break. So my husband has it clamped until he can fix it. It's fixable, but he has it clamped, and so I was not going to be able to transition from my normal where you guys see me to coming back down to my workspace. And this just happened within the last like 20 minutes. So he's like, well, I don't have the part to fix it right now. So you guys are getting me live with my camera just in one position. But at least I can still showcase the projects for you. We can do our giveaways, talk about announcements and all of that here in just a couple of minutes. But that is why you guys are only seeing projects. But I'm going to take away the sneak peeks of everything here in a minute. But anyway, so that is why you're not seeing me with you all tonight. Hi, Janie. And why you're only going to be getting the version where I transition my camera down. It will be fixed by next week because my husband already told me he will get the part and he will fix my stand. So, anyway, it's been a crazy, and I didn't get a 3D project done like I normally do for you all because I was trying to deal with my stand. So, anyway, you guys get me. Here I am. I am behind the camera tonight. You just can't see me, okay? Anyway. So first off, I want to make sure you guys know my host code. I'll be demonstrating for you some cards tonight using you should be hearing me okay, Marcia. I'm hoping so. I think everybody else is hearing me okay, hopefully. But I will be showcasing cards using the Gathered Wheat bundle. This bundle is kind of near and dear to my heart. And I've shared this on a couple other Facebook Lives, but I'll share it with you again here in just a couple of moments. But this is my host code for the month of October. Anybody who puts in a minimum $30 order, you will receive in the mail 3 of these cards completed for you to be able to just send out and use, send them to your family, your friends, all that stuff. So I will bring this back in again in a little bit, but just wanted to make sure that you guys saw that here to begin with. So a few things that I have in the way of announcements before we get started. Like I said, I'm sorry you guys can't see me. I'm improvising with my stand and making sure, although my husband assured me it's not going to break, that he's got it temporarily fixed for me. I just couldn't transition it down. That's the pivot area that broke. So anyway, I'll be focusing in on the Gathering Wheat, a little bit about what's happened in our family the last week. So I want to first of all thank all of you so very much who came and supported the fundraiser that we did for Claire this past weekend. I'm going to be getting an email out to all of the attendees that came to that event. But between this, I'm going to announce here that between the silent auction, the bake sale, and the little raffle thing that we did, and then the proceeds from all of your registration fees, which I got very creative with my make and takes. Anyway, long story short, we profited about $1,500 towards the cost of her trip, and I am so we're just so grateful to each and every one of you that have donated, offered to help, done anything in that way. She actually is going to be sending all of you a thank you card. She's working on this weekend. Again, her idea. So those of you that weren't at the event, I got to share this with you. I got a call from Claire as she was packing up to come to the event, and she asked me if she should bring her cello and play her cello for all of the ladies at my event. And so she did. So for about a good half an hour, some of them just sat there and quit working on their crafting projects to listen to her. But she played for about a half an hour, and I was just like so floored that she was willing to do that and share her talent, because she used to be really afraid to get in front of people. And then Tuesday night was her concert at the high school. And my little turkey daughter didn't tell me that she has been promoted this year to section lead for the cellos. So she's the section lead person as a 10th grader for her high school orchestra. And she is first chair, which means she sits right in the front, and she gets all the little solo parts. And so she had 2 different solo parts in her orchestra concert on Tuesday. So when we got home, I'm like, why didn't you tell me that? And she said, I don't know. I guess I never really thought of it. I'm just like, oh my goodness, child. But anyway, I just want to again thank all of you for your generosity. It is not a cheap event that she's going to, and she's got a couple more fundraisers planned that we're going to be doing. So be on the lookout for more things throughout the next few months. Her goal is to at least fundraise half of it. I'm going to be honest with you. Half of it is about, again, going to be completely transparent. Half of it's about $3,500. So that is her goal, but we are so proud of her hard work and dedication to what she loves to do. So anyway, there's that. Okay, so tonight I'm going to be focusing in on the gathered wheat bundle. And this one is in the holiday catalog. And this one is $47.50. Okay, so that is the cost of this bundle. Now, we still are going to do our normal sharing. So before I get into anything, if you shared my video last week, I had 2 prizes up for grabs. I need to find my pen. I'm a little out of sorts. I'm going to apologize because everything got changed in the blink of an eye when my stand broke at about 6:20 when I was getting it ready for you tonight. But I had 2 bolts of ribbon up for grabs, and the winners of the ribbon, so we'll do the gold one first, is Peggy Barth. So congratulations to Peggy. And then our other winner is Patty Fike. So congratulations to Patty and to Peggy. Okay, so those will go out in the mail next week, okay? So again, if any of you are joining me late, you're not missing out too much. I wasn't able to transition my camera down because my stand broke, so we're in one position tonight where you're able to see my stamping projects. Next week it will be fixed and we'll go back to the format that you guys are all used to. I just wasn't going to cancel on you guys. You know, I don't like to do that. Okay, so the Gathering Wheat Bundle, why it's a little bit near and dear to my heart is when my dad passed away 14 years ago, well, he knew that he was terminal. They gave him about 6 weeks, and he lived 6 months. So it was, we were blessed with more time, but it was also a very hard time for my mom and my siblings and I, because you just never knew if each time that you saw him was going to be the last time. And he always, you know, we'd say little things to us when we'd go visit, like, don't waste your money on flowers at the cemetery for me. Like, that's just a waste of money. They just die. So do something different instead. Or he'd say, you know, on my casket, don't put a bunch of flowers on it because they're just going to die. And so anyway, when we were planning for his funeral, my mom reminded us that, you know, kids, he really didn't want flowers because he just doesn't, my dad was just a very practical man, okay? He was a farmer, he worked hard for his money, and so he'd rather spend it on something that he would consider a little bit more useful. So my mom mentioned that to the florist when we were getting the flowers for the casket, and she said, you know, since he was a farmer, I grew up on a small dairy farm, she says, we can easily do a really nice sheath of wheat to put in the middle of his flower arrangement, and you can pick more like wild flowers and things like that that maybe weren't aren't quite as, you know, so that's what we did. And so my mom still has that wheat sheath hanging up in her living room. She has it over like a swag type thing that was on part of his funeral or casket arrangement of flowers. So whenever I see sheaths of wheat, it reminds me of my dad telling us not to get him flowers and things like that. So anyway, there's a little bit of history as to why this bundle is so near and dear to my heart. Now, I know some of you might be like, I really don't like it. It's not my thing. It's okay if it's not your thing. But I think that once you see some of the cards that I created with it, it might change your mind a little bit on it. It's a really good bundle for the fall time. It's also a really good bundle for like Grateful for You or for the harvest season. So I really think that once you see a few things with it, you'll like it. Some of the dies that I didn't use, you have little hearts, more little wheat. You have this edgelet. I did not use that edgelet on my cards for tonight, but you can see here how it all lines up perfectly well. Again, this bundle sells for $47.50. And this die is really awesome. So you're going to see here in a minute how this little die folds and looks really, really cool. Thank you, Mary. So yes, I had to get this bundle and play with it because it just reminded me of him. The other thing that I do every single year for my dad, so I don't want you guys thinking I'm completely crazy, but every year I make him a card of some sort. And I take it, I put it in, like I double wrap it in one of these. So it's kind of like my annual note that I send to my dad. And I put it in a plastic and I leave it at the gravesite because he can't get mad at me because it's not flowers, right? That was my thing. So it's just like a family note that I kind of update him on all the things we're doing. Okay, I'm gonna get off that soapbox. But anyway, so one of these cards that I created is actually the one that I used for this year. So, okay. So with that, let's get started and I'll share with you. I kind of gave you guys a sneak peek at the very beginning. And I tried to use the stamp set in many different ways so that you could get an idea of how you can use it. Let me see which one is first. So this is the first one right here that we are going to create together. The two embellishments or the two things that I used, and I didn't grab my ribbon. I need to go grab some of that ribbon. But the two things that I used was the rustic metallic adhesive back shapes, and then I used some of the Naturals woven ribbon. Bear with me, ladies. I got to run behind me and get some ribbon off my table. Maybe. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to run and get my, I also need to grab adhesive because I'm just remembering my daughter. I got to tell you what Natalie did to me today. She forgot she had a model project that was due. Well, she didn't forget that it was due today. She just forgot that, or thought it was due tomorrow, and had to rush home in between her classes to finish a model within 2 hours. Came down here and grabbed all of my adhesive. So my seal that I have at my table here is not here right now. So I'm going to grab some adhesive as well. All right. Promise you, that's kind of how my day's been today, but I'm back. All right. So I'm going to be using the rustic metallic adhesive back dots and then this Naturals woven ribbon right here, okay, on all of my projects. So the first one I chose to use the Early Espresso cardstock. And this I just used for my card base. And I did a lot of the stamping on these already just to kind of save a little bit of time tonight. Now, what I did on this one, this piece right here is the 5 1/4 by 4 of the Pale Papaya. And what I did, let me bring my stamp set in, is I stamped around the edges with this wheat stamp right here. Okay, so you can see I just stamped around it with the Pale Papaya ink. And I like, that is a really good technique to do on many different cards if you wanted to, because it just gives you a nice, kind of like making your own designer series paper if you really, really wanted to. Okay, and I didn't worry about the center because we're just going to cover that up anyway. Then I cut a 4 by 3 piece of the paper that is also the Early Espresso. And then I cut a think about this, 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 piece of Very Vanilla. I really love the stamp set. I love stamp sets when they have kind of like a grunge stamped image that goes with them. And so you're going to see me using this one a lot on my cards tonight. And so this one I just stamped with some crumb cake onto the back here, just to kind of give it, again, a little bit of a stamped pattern. So if you ever are wondering, like this bundle didn't have... This bundle didn't have any kind of designer series paper to go with it, so I kind of come up with my own. Okay, so that's what you're going to kind of see me doing with a bunch of my cards tonight. Thank you, Nancy. I'm telling you, my issue tonight has really just thrown me off a little bit, but we're back at it. All right. So, and the other thing I didn't mention while I'm working on putting this part together is that my daughter Natalie met a boy at college. She met him actually on her very first day at an event that CMU does that's called Leadership Safari. And it is an event where they let the kids come in if they want to. They're for incoming freshmen, and they get to kind of learn different leadership techniques and things like that to help them transition into college life. And the very first day, she met this boy named Austin, and they've been kind of hanging out on and off for the last, I would say, well, since school started, so it would have been the middle of August for them. And they've kind of made it official in the last couple weeks here. And they've been referring to themselves as boyfriend, girlfriend. So anyway, his birthday is tomorrow. And so the other commotion we had tonight is that Natalie is making him a blanket for his birthday. One of those blankets that she does with her knitting, of her, like using her fingers and knitting. And she ran out of the one color. She's doing it two-tone. She's doing it like a dark gray and maroon. And she ran out of dark gray. The dark gray is a hard one to keep in stock. So she went to Hobby Lobby and she's praying that they have it. Otherwise, she's going to have to take it all out and start over again with the light gray that she does have. So she isn't home yet, so I'm curious to see how that's going to pan. She left here about the same time that my stand broke. So anyway, all right. So then you can just see how I did that zigzaggy ribbon in there. Okay. And that's just going to kind of show up behind here a little bit. Just kind of give it a little bit of a different look, okay? And then this I did put on, I have to remember, with some dimensionals. So I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to put some dimensionals on here. That is so weird, Marcia. I'm not sure why Marcia can't hear me. Are the rest of you able to hear me okay? I wonder if it's something on her end with her computer or something. I haven't seen any other comments come in that nobody's been able to not hear me. So please let me know if there's an issue or anything like that. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep plugging along. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this one down. Dimensionals. All right, now we have this beautiful stamped, okay, thanks ladies. Whew. We have this beautifully stamped, this is the sheath of wheat, and this is stamped using the crumb cake ink. No, I think I actually used Sahara sand on this. Beautiful stamp. And then what I did, again, because I grew up on a farm, I know what wheat looks like. So if it's more dried, it can be more orangey looking. If it's more fresh, it can be yellow looking. So I chose, and again, I just went to my stand and grabbed some blends that I thought would work for wheat. I grabbed Pale Papaya, Crumb Cake, and my Daffodil Delight. If I had some So Saffron blends, I probably would have used them. And when I created these cards, I know I had it written down somewhere to order them, and I still haven't ordered them. So I know that I used the Daffodil Delight on these. And all I did was add a little bit of color to this. And I know that I used mostly the light ones on this. So I'm just going to do a little bit of coloring on some of this. And you can see that I didn't add a whole lot. Some of it you just see the brown. So I'm not going to add a ton. I did color the little ribbon part, the little part where it's tied together. Okay, and then I just went in here sporadically and added some color to this. So I added some of that color. I added some of the Daffodil Delight, and I just kind of colored some of these wheat. And it's going to take a little bit of time, so I'm not going to do the whole thing, but again, you'll get the gist of it here. And some of it I left just stamped, and then some of it I used the crumb cake and colored in with the crumb cake. Okay, so by doing that, you can see, I'm going to bring this right in so that you guys can all see the color there. Can you see how I colored that? Maybe move it down a little bit. But you can see that it's just different colored. Isn't that cool? Okay, I think I have it in a good spot right now. Anyway, so it just kind of makes it look a little bit different and variegated by coloring it like that. I'm not going to actually take the time to color it all on my Facebook Live tonight because you guys will be here forever. I did take a little bit of time with that. Okay, so just, again, coloring with those blends here and there gives you the look that you want. And I just kind of messy colored the bottom. So I tried to make it look like real wheat, just from my experience of, like I said, we used to harvest wheat. And so it was a perfect thing that we did for my dad when he passed. All right, so that die that I wanted to show you, I'm going to put this on here even though it's not completely colored. You can see what the coloring adds to it. But this is the die, and you can see here it has lines on it, okay? So these can be folded to actually make it look like a banner. You see that? Look at how cool that is. So I'm just going to fold the first line down, the next line up, and then we do this one the other way too. There we go. I did it wrong. There we go. But you could do it the other way if you wanted to as well. But there you have this awesome little banner. Now it does kind of get a little bit, you know, smushed when I had it in my, stored in my clear envelope, but you can still see it's still kind of up. You can still tell that it's designed like a banner would be. Okay, and then all I did was I used a couple of glue dots and I glued this down and then a little bit in the center as well. So let me grab some glue dots. Doesn't it? I know, I think I did a really good job on that wheat as well. I was pretty proud of myself. That was just by going to my blends, my blend station and going, what do I have in my possession that will work for wheat? And that's what I come up with. So I'm just putting a glue dot on each end, and then I'm going to do one in the middle. So I did stick it down in the middle just a little bit. So yeah, this banner is kind of deceiving because I didn't realize that it did that until I had it and started playing with it, and I went, oh, that's kind of neat. And then I just stuck this down here right across my paper like that. And this one I think I stamped in the early espresso. This one I did, I think it was the brown that I used. So I mean, I just kind of grabbed different ink when I was getting my cards ready for tonight's presentation, because I don't always remember which colors I use. I create some cards so far in advance, and so then I just go and I grab them. But you can see how coloring that just kind of really makes it come to life. Now, other sentiments in here as well are simply thankful for all you do, and my heart is filled with gratitude. So there's lots of different sentiments that you can pull and that as well. And then, oh, I forgot my gems. I forgot my gems. Oh, yeah, you could do that too, Janet. I like that idea. All right, and I don't have my take my pick tool right handy because I don't know where Claire brought it down. So true story, I mentioned earlier, I got to finish telling you that story. So Natalie had to make a model of she's in an anatomy class for her speech pathology major. And she had to make a model of like the thyroid and the muscles and the part of your neck. And of course, thought she had until end of the day tomorrow. No, it had to, I think she thought she had until Tuesday to actually take the model in, but pictures were due last night. And then she realized, oh no, the model was due today at 2 o'clock. So we get out of work at 10:30 and we rush to Hobby Lobby to buy supplies. So she came down here and grabbed my take your pick tool to help her get the little things in the spots where it needed to go. My trimmer is upstairs. My a pair of my scissors are upstairs. So like I said, as I'm getting ready for this and my camera not working, I feel very what's the word? I don't know. But anyway, so we're just going to improvise. But there you go. There's our first card. And I love how easy that one was. Okay, the next card that I'm going to share with you is this one right here. So again, whenever I work on cards and projects, as you guys all know, I like to showcase all the different components of the stamp set. And so I wanted to do a card where I used this for more of the focal point and not just the sheath of wheat. Frazzled, good word, Beth, perfect. And then on top of it, after Claire had her cello lesson, she had to be in town at 7 to drive. She's doing her 5th of her 6th driving with an instructor. So yeah, our house was just nuts today. But anyway, for this one, I used the postage stamp or the postage punch, and I stamped these with 3 different colors of ink, and then I punched them out with that punch. Pretty cool, right? So for this one, the ink colors I used were So Saffron, Early Espresso, and then the Cajun Craze. So for this one, I chose the Cajun Craze as the base of my card. And then I took a piece of the crumb cake and I ran it through the embossing machine with the leaves embossing folder, okay? And then I just adhered this down to my card. So we're just gonna adhere that with some seal. And then I took a piece, again, this, you know, when a suite doesn't have designer series paper, you got to kind of improvise and come up with your own stuff. So then I used a strip right here to add in the middle, just to kind of give it a little bit of different look to it. And this I did not emboss. This I believe is 1.5 inches. That might be 2 inches by 4. And we're just going to adhere that down right to the center here. Okay. So we're just going to adhere this down to the center, and it's going to butt up against those, the border there. And then I chose to use a piece of the, oh, and maybe I don't have it here. Maybe I don't have the yellow piece, but that's okay. We're going to go without it. If I do have it, it fell somewhere. But I did use a piece of the So Saffron behind it, but we're just going to go with my awesome little pieces. So these, I just used scraps of Very Vanilla, and then I stamped and I punched them out, okay? And I just punched out, so you can see the stamp is bigger than that. I just punched out the top part of it for my card. So I'm just gonna put some, I did have a little piece of 4x3 So Saffron, but I must have not cut that out when I created my kit for tonight. So I am going to just go ahead and pretend it's there. Okay, so pretend you're seeing that yellow piece there. And I'm going to adhere a couple of dimensionals to each one of these. And I'm going to put a little piece of ribbon behind there. So let me find the ribbon. So what I did do is I wrapped this around the yellow, but we're just going to put a little piece behind here. So this is how you improvise. So sometimes people, you know, get cards or whatever, and they're like, oh my gosh, I want it to look just like yours. It doesn't have to. You guys can get creative and make it look any way you want it to look. So I'm just going to put a piece of ribbon across there. I'm going to cut it at an angle here as well. And then we are going to go ahead and put these in place. So I'm going to start with adding the yellow one on this side. And I'm going to add the Cajun Craze on the other side. And then we will add the Early Espresso one right to the middle. So again, I mean, you really don't need that yellow piece, right? I mean, seriously, you really almost don't. And then we have that banner again, that awesome Thinking of You banner. Now this one, I believe I did fold the other way. So you can kind of get creative, fold it any which way that you would like to fold it. Or if you don't want to fold it at all, you could just lay it down completely flat, okay? I kind of liked the little bit of a layered look to it because I just think it makes it look kind of nice. Okay, there we go. Just fold it a little bit. And then we're going to adhere this one down to the card the same way. I found glue dots worked the best. Thank you, Shireen. They were fun to create. When I first sat down with it, I was like, this is going to be harder than I think. So, but then I just kind of got playing with it, and here we are. Okay, I think I folded this one a little bit funky, but anyway, you guys will get the gist of it. There we go. just going to adhere this one down here like this. Okay, and it kind of will stick up a little bit. And then I added my little embellishments to it. And you can add them wherever you'd like. I just found these were good spots. But on this one, I didn't do that. I added them in different areas. So, and we're just going to make my scissors work tonight, because I'm not going to go hunt for... She claims she brought it all back down, but I'm not seeing it on any of my tables. All the stuff she had to come down and get as we're frantically between noon and 2 trying to get everything done. I was working remote today from home, and so I was here when she come home in a frantic, Mom, can you help me cut this out? And can you help me cut that out? So anyway, but there you have that card. So another different way that you can incorporate your punches is to just stamp things and punch them out and put them on cards. Okay, so that's another way to use punches and to incorporate things onto cards when you don't have designer paper. All right, so that is our card number 2. Let me see what I've got next here on my pile. Oh, next is this one right here. And so for this one, I chose to use the dies, again, showcasing the wheat, and I chose to use the So Saffron, and I paired it with I re-inked my ink pad. So this, I believe, is the Early Espresso. When you re-ink them and you use them at a different time, it makes them look a little bit darker. So for this, I chose to use the not the So Saffron. This is Soft Suede, okay? Lots of layering because I wanted to pull in that yellow. So we have a layer of the So Saffron that is 5 1/4 by 4, and then a layer of the crumb cake that is 5 by 3 3/4, and then finally a layer of the vanilla that is 4 3/4 by, and I may have to cut that down a little bit. Yep, I do. I am going to find my trimmer. Oh, I know where she put it now. I see it. So this is all the stuff that my daughter had to come down and nab on me today to be able to do her project. So I told her she's lucky that she's got a mom that paper crafts. So she grabbed my Take Your Pick tool, she grabbed my adhesive, my liquid glue, my scissors, and my glue dots. Isn't that nice? Okay, so I'm just going to cut this down just 1/4 inch because it's 1/4 inch too big on each side. So we're going to cut this down since I finally know where my trimmer is. Told her, you are darn lucky that you have a mom that paper crafts, that was able to, although the silly girl, she ended up buying construction paper for part of her project. And I said, why did you buy construction paper when we have cardstock in the basement? She's like, I don't know, Mom. I just wasn't thinking. I just stressed myself out and realizing that this was due in like 3 hours, and I got out of work at 10:30. So she works every morning at we have a CMU Cellular Connect program, and she works every morning from 8 until 10:30, and then all day on Friday. And so she realized when she was checking her syllabus in the morning for all of her classes, oh my gosh, it's due and I didn't get it done. And then we had a frantic moment. But anyway, she got a good grade on it, so kudos to her. But she's always been my procrastinator, but this project she was a little stressed out by. I will tell you that. All right, so what I did on top of this very vanilla, again, you can see I chose to use that awesome grungy looking stamp from the stamp set, and it just gives it a really good grungy look. And I just stamped that sporadically across there, okay? And then I cut out one of these shapes, and this, I don't remember which die this is from, but again, we have many different shapes of dies in our catalog, so feel free to look at them and incorporate those in. I can look it up and put it out there later for you guys in the comments if you want to know, but I did emboss it with that leaf embossing folder to give it a little bit of a embossed look. And then this I just adhered directly onto my card. I just felt that it needed something behind these leaves, or these wheat, I mean, to be able to pop that. I didn't like it directly on, so it needed something. Now, these I put on with some dimensionals. So let me bring those in here. And I'm just going to put a couple on here. And if you have the mini ones, I think I use the minis on these, but I'm just going to use these big ones. And if you find the right spots to put them, you really can't see them behind the thing very bad. So I use the big ones a lot. The little ones are hard with my, I'll be honest, with my fingernails. So I like to use the bigger ones a lot. These are just going to go on like that. And then I added a little piece of that ribbon right here. So let me cut my ribbon here. Just a little piece. And I adhered it down here. I might even have it too long. Yeah, I do. There we go. Okay. And then finally I added my heart is filled with gratitude. And I'm just going to cut this like a banner. I cut it at an angle on one side and then straight on the other. And that is just going to go down here along the bottom. You can see I had this one cover it a little bit, but this one I'm not. I'm going to have it be right off to the side. I cut it a little bit shorter. And dimensionals. Isn't this one a pretty one? So again, with this bundle, you just have to kind of get a little bit more creative with it and come up with schemes and colors and things that will work with the whole wheat theme. So, whoops, dimensional there. And then the final thing I did is I topped it off with a couple of those, you named it and guessed it, the rustic gems. So I'm just gonna put one here and I'm gonna put one there. There we go. So there's that card. So those are the two that I created to showcase the single wheat. The other ones are all gonna be ones using that sheath of wheat that I showcased in the very first card that I did with all of you. Oh, I know what I didn't do. I didn't tell you guys what's up for grabs next week if you share. Frazzled, for lack of a better word. Thanks for all the hearts, you guys. But these are the prizes up for grabs next week. I have the iridescent pearls, and then just in time for Halloween, I have the glitter washi tape ribbon, okay? Or washi tape. Not ribbon, it's just washi tape. But it's for Halloween. So these are the things that are up for grabs next week if you share my video. Make sure you comment shared, otherwise I might not know that you've shared because I don't always see, I see a number of shares, but a lot of times the names don't pop up for me. So make sure that you comment shared and you'll be in the drawing to receive those, and those will draw next week. Just saw them sitting off to the side. So I'm sorry, I forgot that piece. I'm surprised one of you didn't remind me. All right. So my next card is probably one of my favorite because it's just so simple yet so beautiful. So it is this one right here. And here I just used two colors. I used the Very Vanilla, and then I used a matte of the soft suede. So I stamped in soft suede. I used the contouring dies. And then I also used the little dies that I showed you earlier and just popped them in here for some little bit of design on this. And I gotta tell you, I think this is probably one of my favorites. It's so simple. This card right here would be so easy to create duplicates of. So anyway, for this one, I'm gonna show you how I did it. Again, so simple. And I paired all of my cards tonight with Very Vanilla. I know I mentioned on my bingo, I had bingo night this last week. So any of you that ever want to play bingo, join with us. We missed you, Courtney. Yes, that's a good word. Discombobulated. Yes, I love it. But I mentioned that with my fall cards, I seem to use a lot more Very Vanilla. I just feel that Very Vanilla is a really good fall color to pair with all of our fall colored cardstocks. And so I use those on the cards that they made that night as well. So here we have the Very Vanilla card base, and then I have a layer of the soft suede that is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I have a layer of the 5 by 3 3/4. Now this one I did not use any ribbon on. I didn't think it needed it. So for this, we're just going to adhere these layers together. And that layer of that soft suede just pops that wheat. Doesn't it make that wheat come to life? Thank you, Shelby. I think it is too. I love it. And yes, Philomena, we did have a fun night. If any of you are interested in joining us for our bingo nights, We do bingo online. They're really easy. They're a lot of fun. All of my prizes are bundles. The cost is only $35 for about an hour and 15 minutes of fun and make and takes. So I hope that you consider joining us for those. We have a ton of fun with them. It's one of my most favorite events. And I went to an online format shortly after the pandemic and love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so then I'm one of the layering, or the, not layering, this is the Scalloped Contours dies, and I love it because they give you that little stitched edging. And that I did put on with some dimensionals. Oh, but how fun that you were at the state fair. I've never been to a state fair, so that would be fun. Now, can you imagine though how pretty this would be if you also did it with like the dark early espresso? You could do it with all the different colors of brown. You could also even probably get away with doing the soft, or the So Saffron, and stamping that wheat in a nice pale yellow. This card is just gorgeous. So like I said, I hope this gives you guys a little bit of a different look. I do know that that some people are like, oh, I don't know if I'd like that, but once you start playing with it, it's a lot of fun to do. All right, and then we have the sheath of wheat that's going to go on here. That went on with some dimensionals. So I'm just going to put some dimensionals on here. About 4 of them will work. So easy, so simple. And then that's just going to go up here on the top like that. And then I cut out, these are just little dies that come with the wheat dies. And I just kind of took a glue dot, I think, and stuck it behind each area here like that. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my glue dots. I love this one too. It's probably my favorite. So this is actually the one, I made this one. This is the one that I gave to my dad this year. And then every year I go back and that card usually stays there because I put a big rock on it. And then I go back in the fall, which will probably be when I go to my next card class over there. And then I pick the card up and I just throw it away because it's all icky and whatever. But every year around, usually I try to do it around the summertime. This year it happened a little bit later. But I put a card out there for him for a little bit with just my notes of our lives and what we've been up to. And it's just kind of a, I don't know, I feel like I'm still honoring him and not buying him those flowers that I mentioned to you, because he was like, don't buy me flowers. I don't want flowers. So I just remember that very well. So I do things a little bit differently. So it was just cute. They just die anyway. All right, so then I just put my heart is grateful for you right across there. I did add a couple of dimensionals to that. So I'm just going to put a dimensional on each end. So my dad he knew that I made cards before he passed, but he did not know that I started doing this as a little bit of a business and doing card making for all of you and whatever. And I asked my mom a few years back, I'm like, do you think Dad would think I'm crazy? He goes, no, I think he'd be very proud of you. So that was kind of cool because back then I was just making them cards. I wasn't doing this in any other way. So, but he got a card for me pretty regularly when he was sick too, because he lived 2.5 hours away. So I wasn't always able to go visit him, and I just, loved to send cards. So I think my mom still has them all. Whoops, that one went flying. I'm now used to my take your pick tool. Wait, I have that here. I have that here now. Whoops. All right. I don't like to waste my gems. All right. There we go. All right. So there you have it. Very nice, quick and simple, easy card that you can do with those, with that wheat. And the little white die cuts here or vanilla are perfect. It just makes that pop. All right, so like I said, I think that was the one. I know that was the one I used to give him. Okay, my last card for the night is this one right here. And again, I went back to kind of a similar color scheme of the crumb cakes. This one I did use Daffodil Delight for my layer here. And the same kind of coloring that I did in that very first card. And I incorporated some of these here as well. So for this, I used crumb cake for my card base. We're just going to fold that in half. And then I have a layer of the 5 1/4 by 4 Daffodil Delight. Again, using that grunge stamp set, I stamped around the outer edges of this, leaving the center because no one's going to see that because it's going to be covered up, okay? But it again makes kind of its own little look of designer series paper. Okay, then we're going to take the woven ribbon, and I did tie this right around the center, or wrap it around the center of this. Thank you, Philomena. They turned out a lot better than I thought. Like I said, when I first sat down and looked at it, I'm like, okay, I know I bought this for a reason, but I am struggling with what to design with it. And I think it was because it didn't have, you know, its own ribbon that came with it. It didn't have its own designer series paper, and I didn't think that the black, the paper that came with the Rustic Harvest bundle, the black and orange and yellow stuff really went with it. I wanted more of the wheat look, and I have to say I got done with these and I was pleasantly surprised with myself. And I know that I even told, it may have been Kay when I saw her one time, I'm not sure who it was, but I know I told somebody, I like these cards better than I thought I was going to, because after I had them all done and I had them all sitting next to each other, I'm like, they turned out really, really nice. All right, so I'm going to take off the backings from the center of that. You are so welcome, Shireen. I'm just going to put this down here in the middle. And then I colored that the same way, using those same colors. Again, they were Daffodil Delight, Pale Papaya, and Crumb Cake, okay? But I'm not going to take the time to color all of that because I'm looking at the clock going, thought I was going to be done with you guys like really, really early since I didn't start with you guys seeing me. I had to start with already being transitioned down, but I'm looking at it going, man, it's almost, I only have like 15 minutes left before my hour is up. All right, so we're going to take off these, and I'm going to put this here like that. And then I used again that same die, and I cut them out with the Pale Papaya. Oh, Peggy, you're here. So Peggy, you didn't hear at the beginning that you were one of our winners for sharing this week. So you won a bolt of ribbon. It is this awesome gold ribbon. So I will get that out in the mail to you, my dear, but that is the ribbon that you won. So congratulations, and glad to have you here. You can always tell everybody, you can always go back and watch the replay for whatever you may have missed on this. Now this is also, like I said, if you put in a minimum $30 order, I will send you 3 of these cards already completed. You don't even have to put them together. They will be done for you, and I'll color them, okay? I'll make sure they're colored. And you could then have a couple of these cards to give out to anybody. But they're just different. And I gotta say, I really like that Stampin' Up! Is coming out with different things. I know sometimes people always say, oh, we already had enough leaves, or oh, we already had enough of that, or oh, so when the company comes out with something different, I always try to embrace it, because I don't remember there being a wheat stamp set in my 12 years of being a demonstrator, or in my, I think it was 3 or 4 years prior to that of me making cards. And so I always try to embrace the new things because, you know, we ask for it. People say, oh, we have so many flowers, or oh, we have so many. So when they come out with different things, I think we owe it to ourselves to take advantage of some of those different things and buy a couple of them and put yourself out there and see what you can come up with. This was a learning lesson with me on this one, because I thought it was going to be easy, but when I sat down, and I don't know if it was because of the emotional attachment to the stamp set and bundle, but it just kind of, I sat down and I was at a blank of what I was going to do. Oh, thank you, Kay. Yes, I am very, very happy with how these came out, and I'm not going to be getting rid of all of these, and I'm not going to be getting rid of this bundle. So I'll tell any of you that do my BOGO sale, if you're thinking, oh, well, I'll wait and see if she puts it on her BOGO sale. This will not be on my BOGO sale. If you want the bundle, you have to buy it, because I will be keeping this one, because even though this is my business and I know that I sell a bunch of stuff, there are certain things, this is also my hobby. And so there are certain things that I do keep, and this will be one of them. Just because I can always go back to it another year or so and create another card that I might want to do in my annual card for my dad and set it out for him. I don't know, I felt guilty not doing anything. And I told my mom, I'm like, you know, he doesn't want flowers, that's fine, but I gotta do something. So every year I've done a card for him. And again, it's just a little update on what we're doing and how we've been and, you know, that kind of stuff. So I throw it away after I get it back because it's filthy and gross and disgusting. I don't keep them, but it just feels good to be able to do that. And then I don't feel guilty not doing anything for him. So, sorry, Patty, you're going to have to buy this one, dear. I'll be keeping it. So yes, that is just how how it stamps, Peggy. This one right here, though, I did color. So what I did is very sporadically, I know you missed the beginning of it, I showed how I just kind of colored little bits and pieces. I used crumb cake. Most of the colors I used were the light, just to add a little bit of color. But I literally just took a little bit of time and colored. I even colored in some of the, but I just kind of colored some of this in, went through it all using the light pale papaya, the light crumb cake, and then I used Daffodil Delight. You could also use So Saffron. I didn't have So Saffron, so I wasn't able to use So Saffron, or else I probably would have. I then tied a little bow with this ribbon, and this ribbon's not the easiest ribbon to tie a bow with, so you could always omit this part. But yeah, this one I'm going to be keeping. I know that for a fact. I won't be getting rid of this one. Oh, I changed your mind on this one, huh, Philomena? That happens when you see people use something. That's usually what happens. Oh, Gold and Blackberry Bliss. That would be gorgeous too, Courtney. Yes, very, very pretty. Very pretty if you did the emboss the wheat with the gold. Ooh, I may have to try that. All right, and then I just put this one right here in the middle like that. And I did do a few more glue dots. I really wanted to get it glued down pretty good. And again, these, I always put my finished cards in the clear envelope. So this one's had time to really get matted down nice. And then I just topped this one off with some of those gems as well. Okay, let me bring all of my cards back in so you guys can see them. And I do, like I said, I do think this one's my favorite. I just love the beautiful simplicity of it. And let's see here, we had this one. So these are all of my cards. So again, using just color schemes that go with wheat and fall. Using my background a little bit from growing up on a farm kind of helped me with the coloring of all of the wheat. And seeing the sheath that's been hanging in my mom's house for the last 14 years. But these are the cards that I created for you tonight for our Facebook Live. And I just want to thank all of you for still hanging out with me, even though I was not able to start with you all seeing me. I will be back next week that way when Matt fixes my husband Matt fixes my stand. He told me he can fix it. It was just that he had to get Claire in for a drive, and we had just everything kind of happen all at once near the end of our evening. So anyway, thank you all so very much. Again, if you simply put in a minimum $30 order, I will send you 3 of these cards completed, and I'll have all the coloring done for you. Or you could even purchase this bundle yourself. $47.50. You could get the bundle, and I will still send you 3 cards, and then you'd have these to kind of look at and duplicate and create all on your own. So anyway, thank you all so very much for letting me share a bundle that's been near and dear to my heart since I saw it in the catalog. I hope I've inspired you to consider getting it, and I look forward to seeing you all back here next week for another Facebook Live. All right, bye everyone.